As you know, this session was delayed because we did have at the time the Ex Cyclone Alfred bearing down on the north coast, and with Kim and Paula in particular responding to that, we decided it wasn't the opportune time to do so. Thank you for your patience in waiting for this day. But I will start with an acknowledgement. So we acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the traditional custodians of this land with deep respect. May elders past, present, and emerging be blessed and honoured. May we join together and build a future based on compassion, justice, hope, faith, and reconciliation. As I mentioned, we decided to reschedule the session due to the emergency response on the ground. And we thought it was important to reschedule because this today, recognising International Women's Day, I truly believe that every day is International Women's Day. So it's appropriate that we celebrate it today as it was to celebrate it on the actual International Women's Day. But also because we're talking today about career development, and that was one of the topics that was, I guess, identified in the engagement survey. People in the organisation wanting us to have more focus on career development. So I think we've done a lot of that in the last 2 years around management development, sort of director and above development through the leadership forums and also through different programs that we've run across the organisation. So this discussion today will be really interesting as we have three colleagues who will share their approach to managing their career journeys and development and share some of their insights. And I am delighted to have a wonderful women from across the organisation join us today for this discussion. We have Paula McCormack, who many of you will know. She's a regional manager for retail North East in the Commercial Enterprise Retail and Fundraising Directorate. We have Christina Gilio, who's the Management Member and Volunteer Experience Programs, and she is part of the MVEI Directorate. And Kim Kennedy, who's the Regional Manager for Homelessness and Housing Mini Services. So welcome to all of those three participants. I might just ask, if you're not part of the panel, if you mind switching off your camera and muting, that'd be helpful just for the conversation. And there will be time for questions as we include the discussion with the three panelists. So I think we might start by just learning a bit more about each of our panelists. And I might go and start with Paula because I can see it right in the top hand of my corner. But Paula, can you just share what motivated you to pursue a career with Vinnie's? And were there any women who inspired you along the way?
Oh, good. Yeah, I suppose if I rewind and look at my career overall, I spent years in the cosmetics industry in a sales role, either area manager, head of sales, and obviously now I'm in regional role. But I got to a point that I had done that for so long and it wasn't fun anymore. I just wasn't enjoying it like I used to. Just wasn't as fulfilling enough for me. So I decided enough is enough. I'll take some time out, figure out what I want to do that's going to be more fulfilling in the next stage of my career, I guess. And took a few months. I became a marriage celebrant, which I love. It's certainly not something that I do very often. And I only have married friends or friends of friends in the last couple of years. And that's kind of the way I like it. It's more personal for me. And then Vinnie's came along and I thought, well, that kind of marries up with my values and where I see my future in terms of I didn't have to retrain to do something. I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to be fulfilled. And I certainly thought, well, marry up my retail and sales experience with something where the rewards are that people are gaining skills and then we are supporting the community with the funds that we raise through the shop. So to me, it was a marriage made in heaven, no pun intended with the celebrity. It was a perfect fit for me. It came along at the right time and I've not regretted a moment of it. Yes, it's been tough at times, but I love it. And I feel it's where I'm meant to be. So that's kind of in a snapshot, my journey to where I am now.
Thanks, Paula. Thank you. Christina, just your reasons or what motivated you to pursue career with Vinnie's?
Thanks, Yolanda. So I've had a little bit of a different journey to Paula, but one that I'm very grateful for. So for me, I actually studied education in university and I absolutely loved it, and not taking anything away from teachers because they have incredibly hard jobs themselves. But there was always something a little bit missing for me. I didn't know if it was exactly the career path I wanted to end up in long term. And the old cliche of falling into something as part of my degree had to do elective, whereby we were given a few different organizations that we could choose to volunteer at. And as part of that, I ended up at a community service organization called Christian Community Aid. And I had to develop a 12-week program to help integrate international students into high school. And for me, that was a moment of realization. It was something that, again, following Paula's direction there, married two things that I was really passionate about. It was social justice and education and empowering young people. So it is a bit of a niche, and it definitely was a lot more of a niche back then, though it is growing now. So I think I was pretty fortunate in that I was working at the time. I worked in pharmacy for 9 years and then actively looked for work that would marry those two things together for me. And honestly, Vinnie's came along. That would have been about a year and a half after I graduated university and never looked back. So years on, I know that's where I'm meant to be and feel very passionate about it. It's an organization that aligns with my personal values and my personal beliefs. And I genuinely believe in the work that we do and the impact that we have on the community. And if there's a day that comes where I stop, believing in the work that we do, I don't think that will ever happen, but that's the day that I'll know that my time has expired. Up until then, I don't see a world where, the impact that we have ever stops. It's just amazing seeing what happens through our members, volunteers and staff across the state on a daily basis. And it's amazing to see what this organization is doing longer term as well for the longevity of the people that we assist. So that's my turn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I was just thinking about this question and pondering some answers, but I guess for me, my journey's been a little bit different in the sense that if there's a challenging way to do something in life, I'm usually the one that finds it. And as a young person from the age of 14, I myself was a homeless young person. And by the time I was 16, I was a young homeless mother. I had a baby girl who's now 30 years old. And I experienced a lot of stigmatism and, I'm 48 now, but people say I still look younger. So you can imagine what I looked like at 16. I probably looked like I was 11, things like that. So I experienced a lot of judgment and it made me get passionate about breaking those stigmas and social justice and how people should be treated. And then by the time I had my second daughter, I was 21 and I was married. And in all honesty, the way my career started was a bet with my husband at the time. I told him, I'm going out to get a job today. You're on told duty and I won't be home until I'm employed. And I went home that afternoon and I started a job the following Monday. I got a job that afternoon. I walked into a recruitment agency and the recruitment agency said, do you want to work for us? It just unfolded that when I walked in, it was actually the CEO that was at the reception. And I told him how passionate I was and that I really wanted to enter this kind of field. And next minute I had a job right there and then. And so I was back within like an hour and a half of my acceptance going, hey, that was quick. And I go, I got a job. I said on Monday. So that is really how I got into the field that I got into. And then from there, I went to university and did things all back to front in life. I had the children, had the marriage, had the university where we usually recommend doing it the other way around. So from that point on, my passion has always been, giving people hope is something that I feel inspired to do. And I think just having a conversation with somebody and pointing out to them that while they might not believe in themselves where they're at, I actually believe that they are capable and they can get a house and they can achieve things in life. And I like giving people that hope. And then with that along comes motivation. And the reason I think I'm good at that is that what made my life, I could have went down a different path completely. Being on the streets, I had, lots of things happen and lots of things around me. And I could have chosen a different path, but there was one person in my life that come along and said, I really believe that you're different and you can actually achieve something. Like you don't need to be here. You need to go this way. And it just took one person in my life that gave me that belief. And then I thought, oh, they kind of believe in me. Oh, maybe they're onto something. And they told me, go back and get your education. Okay, you've had a baby. You're not dead. Keep going. It's okay. And somebody kind of validated that for me that, you know what, you can have a baby and you can actually still learn and study and keep going. And once that was kind of clearly pointed out to me, and I had the self-drive too, I guess, but I actually did it. And that's and that's what I like to do for other people as well. Yeah. So that's what drives me to be in this industry and do what I do. And I love working with Vinnie and I love what we stand for. And I'm proud of that. I'll happily tell anybody where I work and what I do. Yeah.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Kim, Paula, and Christina for sharing some of those really personal reflections. And you're right, Kim. From a child, you're not dead. I remember my doctor once saying to me, when I'm pregnant, you should work right up till the end. I'm like, oh. And she said, you're pregnant, Yolanda, you're not sick. And I'm like, no worries. So off I went and worked literally till the day before I gave birth, which was fun. So thank you for sharing those. So I might go to you now again, Paula, just in regards to, what's been your experience in regards to managing your career? Like, have you planned each stage? Has it evolved in a more organic way?
Yeah, I didn't plan too much. I kind of fell into one thing and another. I'm probably a little bit crazy in terms of I love a challenge. Some of them are probably ridiculous challenges, but it's like, oh, you can't say things like that to me and I'll rise to it and try and prove somebody wrong kind of thing sometimes. I suppose I've weighed up each challenge. Years ago, I worked for Elizabeth Arden and one of my colleagues went for a job with Lancome. And I remember she came back and said, that was a really hard interview. I didn't get the job and all the rest of it. And I was like, oh, they sound, from what I know of them, they're a tough company to work for. So I don't really want that. But also I knew I couldn't go any further where I was at Elizabeth Arden. So I thought, you know what? She didn't get it. She's encouraging me to go for it. I'll go and just see where we go. And I actually really enjoyed the interviews. Well, I didn't enjoy them enough, but I liked the people that I met. And that's what sold it to me, that I thought, oh, I could really work for these because I like these people. And, moving into a brand that is really a tough brand to work for in terms of it was the number one brand in Ireland and you had to maintain that. So from that point of view, it was going to be challenging, but I loved that. And then another challenge came along where I was managing fragrances as well. And it was a case of, well, Lancome is the number one brand, but now you have a choice between working for that and fragrances. And I thought, well, fragrances are kind of the underdog. I know the other one really well. I managed it really well. I've loved it. This is okay. Game on. I'm up for this. I'll give it a crack and see how we go. And I loved it. And just various things came along like that. And I suppose it sort of cuts straight to area manager in Metro Vinnie's. And that was a role that I really enjoyed. I got a great team in Metro, really loved the area manager team and Gem and Virginia that I worked for. But when I was asked to caretake the Northeast, again, I knew it was going to be challenging. I didn't know how challenging it was going to be at the time, but I said, okay, game on again. I'll rise to that. And then I ended up, obviously, I kind of fell in love with the challenges and I thought, oh, I can really do something with this. So when the permanent role came up, it was like, okay, well, how could I make this work? And a lot of conversations around, is it feasible? Should I apply? And again, no regrets. I love it. I've now got an amazing team and all women at the moment, I might add, all very supportive, fun people, really good bunch of people. And yeah, I've been very lucky, but I haven't planned too many things. It's just a case of, okay, there's a challenge, I'll accept it. And that might be nuts to some people. And some of them, in all honesty, have been nuts to even consider. But I think we've done okay, and the region as a whole has done pretty well with this team of people that I have around me. And I think that makes the difference. It's all the people around you, not just the immediate ones. It's the ones that are never seen, but that always support you and, whatever you need kind of thing, they're there to help. So I've been very lucky and empowered by the people that I've worked with along the way. So that's pretty much it. Like, no plans.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. I think that's an interesting reflection because I do think that often people think you have to have all of your career mapped out. Certainly, I know a lot of people like that, but myself, I've never really had a plan. And when you talk about challenges, I had looked at it as opportunities. So I think not being afraid to take an opportunity that comes your way, even though you sometimes, have that imposter syndrome and you worry, oh, could I, should I? And it feels a bit unsafe, as opposed to what I'm doing right now, which feels really safe and comfortable. So I think it's not actually that unusual for people not to have their whole career planned out, but sometimes people don't want to say that. They'll say, oh, I had a whole plan. I've ended up where I am because of that. So for myself, I never really had a plan. I started out as a journalist and I went through, various iterations of comms roles on the dark side, as they used to call it, on the PR side. And then issues management, and then went to broader and broader roles as I went through various organizations, including, sporting organizations like FIFA. So very diverse and mixed pathway. And I think that's important to note as well. There's not only one pathway through to things you might want to do. There are various pathways. So thank you for sharing that. Well, Kim, I might go to you now. What's been your experience of it is supporting your career and your personal and life commitments, and particularly, maybe the focus as a female, what that's like for you?
My experience with Vinnie's and supporting my career and my personal life, well-being, that kind of thing has been, I can't fault it. Like, I find it a very supportive organization. I think they factor in that you're also a human being and you're a mum and and in my case, I'm a nan. But so in reflection, I did work for another organization, and when my little granddaughter come into my care when she was just under 2 years old, and I was running a regional manager for another organization. And I explained my situation, that I'd now taken on this kinship care arrangement and I needed a little bit of flexibility while I adjusted to a teething 2-year-old and that kind of thing. And there was just no flexibility there. So I actually had to make a choice to take a step back for a while until I got a handle of the whole situation again. And then, I waited till my little granddaughter was school age, ready to start kindergarten. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready for the challenge again. And that's what brought me across to Vinnie's. But I feel since being across at Vinnie's, everything, it's really supportive. Family commitments, it's a factor that it's there and we can try and work with it as much as we can. And I also like the fact that one good thing about Vinnie's is I look at someone I consider a mentor and who I do really look up to, which would be Anna, the director for housing and homelessness, and the flexibility that you don't have to live in central Sydney to take on a director role. I find that amazing because a lot of organisations would go, no, you've got to be here local. And I love how Vinnie's gives us that flexibility, and the fact that you still get to touch base with your team by travelling to Sydney for meetings and things like that, and the bigger, wider space of Vinnie's. So I really like that. And I really like the fact that we're thinking differently in the sense of let's put the right people in the right roles. And I think that's something you don't see in a lot of organisations at all. So I think my experience, I speak very highly and positive that Vinnie's is a great place to work for those reasons, that we do give people opportunities and look for the right people.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Kim. Christina, I know you're not skeptical to answer this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
I think just echoing that comment that Vinnie's is so flexible. It's very adaptable in every way, shape, and form. I think at the society, it's only human to go through times in life where you're experiencing external pressures, whether it's family pressures or, upkeeping a house or whatever it may be, relationship pressures. And I think Vinnie's has always been a place where I felt safe to disclose if I'm experiencing things happening in my own personal life, and knowing that the support will be there. And if it means that, we have some maybe flexible working conditions, or, the amount of resources available through our EAP, knowing that no matter what, the society will always support you. And I really genuinely believe, we are a person-centric organization, not only with the people that we assist, but with our people, our staff, our members, our volunteers. The person always comes first. And I know just within our own team at the moment, we have gone through a bit of a period where we've been down on resources, but just the camaraderie of us coming together and say, let's just acknowledge that we are a little bit short-staffed at the moment and we can only do what we can do, and we have to put our health and well-being first. And the other stakeholders within the organization do give you grace, and they do understand that, you're going to go through periods where external pressures and commitments come up. And no matter what, Vinnie's is always a place that is going to attend to that and not make you feel as though, you can't work because you've got a grandchild in your care or anything like that. So I think being part of an organization that has always got your back and supports you me personally makes me want to do good for the organization, and is very empowering for me to give back to an organization that's given me so much. So that would be my...
Thank you, Christina. Well, anything to add to that question of your experience?
No, it's very similar. I mean, I don't have children, so it's probably very easy for me to just plan my travel. Obviously, there's other things in my life that happen at certain times and all the rest, and I factor my travel time around that. But I suppose I was very fortunate that after caretaking the region for a little while, I was then entrusted that I'd obviously done a pretty okay job at that stage, that for me to manage the region when I wasn't actually living in some of those areas, I can manage the bottom part from home, which worked quite well, that I didn't have to move, because either way I'm traveling one way or another. And it's actually worked quite well so far. So I've been lucky and trusted by the people in a position, so Virginia and other people like that. But I suppose one thing that I probably would say in terms of supporting is during the cyclone, I had regular check-ins from different people, not just female in the organization, people checking in all the time. How are you? Are you okay? We're so busy focused on what we had to do, as Kim would know, that sometimes you forget to check in and go, geez, I worked 12 hours today. I am tired, but just keep going anyway. So a lot of people will check in regularly just to check on you, which is really nice that they do that. So nothing else to add really, but it's a very supportive community.
Thank you. And it's great to hear that. And, we hope that that's the experience of people who work with us, that we do that. And there's always more we can do, but certainly it's a really big focus for us. And I think I'm a big believer in that you bring a whole person to work. Some people are better at compartmentalizing their lives, but I think we should really ask people to do that. And we should make space for people, the whole person, and whatever it is you're going through in your personal life or life changes at the time. So thank you. Thank you all for answering that. Christina, I might go back to you. How do you define what success looks like in terms of your career?
Yeah, I think for me, success is beyond titles and achievements. I think, those are certainly milestones, but working for the organization that we work for, success to me is more around the impact that we have on the people that we assist and the greater community. I think I mentioned earlier, Vinny is very deeply aligned with my own personal values. And so for me, I know when I'm going out in the community, the one thing I want to know is that the community is experiencing the best possible outcomes from the support that we have to offer. So personally, I plumbed through the school engagement and the youth engagement space in my role. And so I originally, when I started at Vinnie's, was going out to schools and chatting to students in, primary school and secondary school about the work that we do and the way that they could get involved, and did that throughout their secondary schooling, and then transitioned into the youth engagement space, whereby I have been very fortunate to see many of those students come back at our Bow Week events. And the amount of students that just immediately beeline toward, the royal blue that is our logo and the brand that is Vinnie's. And oftentimes when you ask them why they were drawn to Vinnie's and what made them come to our store, we usually get two responses that are the top two. And I'd say one of them is that they did come through the Catholic school system, or other schools for that matter, and they've known what Vinnie's does growing up. They've walked through Vinnie's through mini Vinnies and high school conferences. They've been donors, they've been volunteers, and doing that has made them want to give back. And then the other answer that we very frequently hear is that the students that come to the store are oftentimes people that have been assisted themselves. So whether that was attending Buddies Days when they were younger because they were experiencing disadvantage, or perhaps their parents or grandparents had been assisted by some of our conference members who provided them with, material or monetary assistance during times of hardship. And hearing them offer that response that success to me. Hearing that they've come through and they've seen the impact firsthand, they've experienced it and now want to give back, that shows that what we do actually works, and that our impact is beyond just a hamper. It's beyond just a voucher or, helping pay a bill. Genuinely is something that sticks with people lifelong. And again, our achievements and our titles, all those things, they're important, and we still have a business to run and KPIs to meet. I think on a deeper level, the impact that we have on a wider community is the real measure of success for me. And it's kind of the motivator that keeps me going personally.
Thanks, Christina. It's lovely. And I think you're right. I think very often when I'm out and about on a personal level at places, I often meet people that tell me that this is society and Vinnie's helped them when they were younger. And almost everyone I meet has a Vinnie's story of some description, be it through the shops or be it through Vinnie's, but particularly actually that, their family was helped by Vinnie's when they were younger. So I think that's a really powerful demonstration of our impact and what it means to people. Paula, how do you define success in terms of your career?
Well, I suppose I can't skip over the obvious. I am in retail, so it's all about dollars and cents. And if we don't achieve our budgets in terms of retail sales, our surplus budgets, then I don't want to be the one to go to Yolanda to say, but I'm sorry, you're not going to have enough money for Christine's services or Kim's Brett's place, I really don't want that on my conscience. So my team and I have a lot of work to do to make sure that we play our part and raise those funds and manage all of those. That's obviously the bones of it, but we have to do. But for me, it's about the people. I was a volunteer in Ireland doing home visits before I left there. And I loved seeing people in their own home, in their environment. And I'm still very aware of that. And obviously through our work now, I can see it and I hear all of the stories. To me, it's about those people helping out, but also the people in our teams. They've all come from various backgrounds. Our volunteers are with us for different reasons. And what I love to see is them coming in socially, probably awkward and not really sure what they want to get from being with us. And then, showing them a few things, seeing their skill set grow and their social life grows because they're starting to connect with all of these other people. And that itself is really rewarding. And yes, we get the benefits of the work that happens in the shop as well, but to see them shine really is important. I love the healthy relationships that we can create ourselves between us, our customers, the people in the background who support us. It really is important to me that we all create those connections that actually are important and invaluable to improve what we're doing and how we're achieving what we are achieving. So all of the people aspects, I know when I joined Metro and I started introducing Excel spreadsheets and different things, and I knew my store managers were freaked out, but they humored me. And I think they actually enjoyed it later on once they got their head around it. And I could see that they were improving their skill sets as well. And that in itself is really rewarding. And it's just seeing people reach their potential in whatever capacity that might be. That's really satisfying to see for everybody. But I suppose I love seeing people giving it a go. They'll come to me with ideas and what about doing this? And I'm going, okay, we'll give it a crack. What's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work, then that's fine. We'll learn from it. It's not, it's not brain surgery. No one's going to die if we try something and it fails. We'll give it a crack. We'll learn and then we'll try something else. So it's all the people things. And, I find that really satisfying and rewarding.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. And I think there's a common theme here about focus on people, whether it be the people we assist, the people we work with, the people in our team. But it's lovely to hear that common theme come through. Kim, over to you. Obviously, in life, we all have mentors of some description, be personal or professional, or formal or informal. So have mentors played the role in helping you and your career?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just reflecting on the mini Vinnies when Christine was talking about it because, I have caught my little granddaughter who's 8 now I've turned the corner and she's in pantry emptying all the cans and she's like, Nan, it's the mini Vinnies. And then the next minute she's at school promoting to everyone, Nan works for Vinnies. Next minute school principal's ringing. Guess who's doing a talk to the primary school kids? Also, and a little 8-year-old as proud as punch of it, her nan's come to talk to the school for Vinnies, which is really cute. And it is how it starts, isn't it? I didn't really think about that until you made that comment, Christina. But I guess that's how our little social workers in the making start, don't they? But I think mentors have played a big part in who I am as a person. And I think at different times in my life, I've had all different kinds of mentors that have showed belief in me. And I always look for different, especially, strong women that are achieving and kicking goals, much like a lot of like you ladies here today. That's one good thing about Vinnies, isn't it? That we have such a great women to work for the service and passionate about what we do. And when I find someone successful, Yolanda got to come up to Tweed Heads a couple of weeks ago and I kind of got to ask a lot of questions. It probably seemed I'm really drilling in on Yolanda's life, but it's my curiosity. How did you get there and what did you do? And I really admire people like that. And Anna and Neve, ladies that have done a lot of things that I admire. And so I'm never afraid to ask, and how did that happen? And I think that's how we learn. That's how I learn. I learn what other people have done to get where they are in life. And I've always been like that. When I became a young mum, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm amazed we're still alive today, to be honest. But I found a good, strong mum who was quite a few years older than me. And I'm like, how do you do this? Can you tell me how you did it? And then I'll learn how to do it, kind of thing. So I think that's something I'm naturally gravitated towards. Always strong people that I admire. I'm never afraid to ask, and how did you get there? And tell them I admire them, because I think that's important as well. And I try to be a mentor for others as well. And I know that when I walk out into my homeless service, the homeless are watching. So it's always good to mentor the kind of behavior that you want to see. And I guess that for me, mentors have always played a big part in my life and given me direction. And I've learned along the way, and lots of coaching and lots of conversation and lots of reflection and admitting, you know what, I really got that wrong. Can you tell me what would have been a better way for me to approach that? I always like to ask people from their experience that have more experience than me in a particular area. I did this, but I feel I really messed it up. Can you give me some direction on how I could have done it different? And I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting if you make a mistake, because it's a good way to learn. And I think owning it and being accountable for it is important as well. So yeah, to me, mentors, there's always someone in my life that I'm looking up to and thinking, oh, I'd love to do that one day, or I'd love to be that one day. And I wonder how they do it. I feel like I've had some really good mentors in my life, and I still do. I was curious, how did Yolanda's role start out in? How is she a CEO now? And how is it, and is now
Good
in a
question,
director
Kim. I
role?
ask myself every day.
And is that something you'd want to be? I don't know. But I ask those questions because you never know which path or which door's going to open. And that's a great opportunity. And I think it's really important if you feel fear about something because it's not normally in your normal space of what you would do, I think one important thing is to try and push through that, challenge yourself, even though for a long time, public speaking was so not my thing. But I went and did a thing to learn how to public speak a bit better and things like that, which was so outside of my comfort zone. But I think with a good mentor showing you different skills to do that, you grow and you push yourself a bit further and a bit further. And I think that is part of how our careers develop, like continually challenging yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree, Kim. Thank you. Some really good points. I think your point about that sort of informal mentoring by role modeling, I think is really a really good point. And also, I think the pushing through the fear, which I think most people I know in their careers at some point, there's that self-doubt that creeps in. And so it's backing yourself and stepping outside of that fear. And the worst thing that can go wrong is that it goes pear-shaped, it doesn't work out, but at least you gave it a go. And Christina, for you, in regards to the role of mentors in your career?
Yeah, so I've had a few in my career. I think similar to Kim and what you just touched on, Yolanda, I think for me, I've had a mix of direct mentors and then accidental or informal mentors that probably don't even know they've had any impact on my own career, but just being able to observe them from afar has been invaluable. Within my own directorate in MBEI, I'm just surrounded by some really strong, hardworking, dedicated leaders, women in leadership, men too. But for the sake of today's presentation, some incredible women, and seeing all the things that they've achieved, I look to them and I often think to myself, if I could achieve a fraction of what they've achieved, I would consider myself to be successful. They're an inspiration in the work that they do. And they've they've never made me feel as though they aren't available or that they didn't have the time, or that, question that I would ask is something that, maybe deemed a silly question or something that I should already know the answer to. It's a very safe space that they have always created for me. They've provided, a wealth of wisdom in times where I'm feeling a bit directionless, or have just provided a sounding board, when we all have those moments that you just need someone to talk to, or even just offered, really invaluable advice that has gone on, and much of it has stuck with me. That is advice that I live by every day, not only in my professional career, but also in my personal life as well. And then I think beyond just my own directorate, so many amazing women in leadership, yourself, Yolanda, and other women across the society. I think Vinnie's does that really well, is having female representation in leadership, and males too. But being able to see strong women who are up there, who, are balancing things like nurturing families and maintaining other aspects of their life, and seeing what they've achieved, being able to admire their achievements from afar, to, have the privilege to listen to them speak at different ceremonies or different events, and hearing how they've got to where they are, hearing, similar to what Kim just said, that sometimes you need to be okay to say, I made a mistake. I got this one wrong. How can I be better? How can I learn? And those are the types of things that I think are very innately human, and they make me feel in my own career journey and even in my personal life that, other people who are in these really strong leadership roles are also experiencing very similar challenges, or have at some point in their career experienced really similar challenges or self-doubt. So seeing what they've been able to achieve, the challenges that they've overcome, to me, that is just invaluable. And I think it adds that extra layer when people who are informed but don't even know the impacts that they've had. Because I watch on from afar and I just think, that to me is a leader. That's someone who they're not just doing this because they want to show you how good they can be, all the things that they have to offer. They're not doing it to, you know, to boast about their wonderful achievements. They're just doing their job and they're doing it really well. And that's a mentor, that's a role model, that's someone that I aspire to emulate within my own personal and professional career.
Thanks, Christina. That brings us to our last question, which I'm going to ask of everyone, and I'm going to start with you, Paula. But do you have any advice when thinking about their careers, especially those who are uncertain about the path they want to take?
I suppose in my experience, it's just, throw the rule book away when an opportunity presents itself. And even if it's a disguised opportunity, even just have a look at it, talk to people who might have some input and some feedback to share and some guidance, and give it a crack. It might not be what you intended or what you wanted originally, but it actually could be a better direction for you and it could take you in another path again. So I would just say be open to opportunities that you hadn't considered. I mean, I've had imposter syndrome a lot of my life. I'm going, oh, this is not for me. I think I'm out of my depth here. But other people have had more faith in my abilities than I've had at times. And I think it served me well and I've gone different directions. So I would encourage people to just take a chance, think outside the box a little bit. If you don't think it's for you initially, but you're kind of keen to see how it plays out, give it a go. So yeah, I would just say be open to any opportunity that comes along. And the other side of that is if you're in a role that you enjoy and you love, that's great, stick with it. But if you don't, then you need to decide if you need to move a different direction. And if you decide to stay where you're not entirely happy, then you need to figure out what is going to make you happy. And no one else is going to do that for you. That's on you. If you're going to stay in a role, then you need to make it work for you and for everybody around you, because there will be impact. So just make some kind of good choices at some point. That's about it, really.
Thank you. And Kim?
Again, I think the biggest one is, we can all have that voice sometimes that says, don't know if you can do this, don't think you can, maybe don't give it a go, that kind of thing, and that fear creeps in, oh, I might not be good enough, like that voice. My advice is just, park it to one side and do it anyway, because, I think that's a really good way to grow. And I think so, I guess, feel the fear and push through it, recognize that it's there, but then still have a go anyway, because often what is there to lose by having it go? Okay, you might succeed, you may not, but as Yolanda said, at least you've had a go. And so if you see something that, a dream job that you think is for you, or whether it's within Vinnie's or not, it's always okay to push through that fear and put your hand up and say, hey, that's something I would love to do. And I think that's important because sometimes fear can hold us back from growing and learning, and we can be our own barrier to those kind of experiences. So I think that would be and I've had to push through a lot of that, having done everything backwards. And so I've had to, go, okay, you've got a mum, but you know what? Mums can go to university, all that kind of things. Young mums can go to university and, it's okay to still educate yourself. And I've had to push through a lot of that fear. And I mean, if I hadn't done that and, switched that voice off that was always doubting me, I wouldn't be here. And, I'm quite proud of where I came from and to who I am today, the person that I am and what I do. Like, I'm quite proud and happy at what I do. And I love my career at Vinnie's and what I do here with homeless and the staff is something that, I think if someone, apart from winning lotto, if someone said to me, what is your dream job? I'm pretty close. Like, this is where I want to be. So that's a good thing. Not many people can say that.
Thanks, Kim. I'm really impressed you feel winning lotto as a job. And I think probably one that none of us would have to put through the fear for that one. We'll all be pretty keen to take that opportunity.
Yeah, well,
so Christina, just finishing up with you on what advice you would give.
Yeah, mine's definitely on the same train of thought than both Paula and Kim. So for me, it's plain and simple. It's just back yourself. I hear that on such a deep level, that imposter syndrome that creeps in every now and then. And I don't know if it ever fully goes away. I don't think that it does. I definitely think it might get, a little bit less, but I don't know that it fully goes away. It certainly hasn't for me. And I find myself, very regularly feeling as though I'm out of my depth, or, is this something that is too big for me or bigger than me, especially in an organization where you're surrounded by a lot of incredible leaders and people achieving great things, and looking at them saying, they are such an incredible leader. I aspire to be half the leader that they are. But in those moments, it's really important to, as Kim said, feel the feel and move past that, back yourself. I think we've all been hired for a reason. We're all the experts in our field. We all have unique talents and skills and different things we can bring to our role. So trust that, your unique ideas can actually get you through the job. In those moments where you are hesitant about, say, suggesting an idea in a meeting, or, I don't know, proposing a new initiative that you've worked really hard for, I think you're not going to regret the opportunities that, well, you will regret the opportunities that you did take. And the worst that can happen is, it's not what you expected, but it might actually be better. And if it's not, well, at the very least, you can say that you gave it your all. So definitely find solace if that imposter syndrome it's there, and it's very common, it's frequent. We all have it at a stage or another. But if you back yourself and you dig in, you will find that you can probably achieve a lot more than you think you're capable of.
So thanks, Christina. And we will open up for questions, and Ros, and throw back to you if there are any questions from anyone on the call. Any questions for any of the panel members?
Okay, here's one from Willen. What challenges have you faced in progressing your career? And this one is for all of the panel.
Anyone? Kim, did you want to give that a go?
I think over the years, challenges with progressing my career is always, and I guess as women, to juggle all the balls in the air when you're a friend, a worker, a mother, not everyone, but a mother or a carer of some sort, that kind of thing. And you're trying to, and you see a career progression opportunity, but at times I've gone, oh, look, that's not going to fit in with a young family at this point in my life. So I've put it to the back burner or on hold. Where I think those kind of barriers have come up at times where I've gone, oh, I would really love to go to remote Darwin and help vulnerable communities. And it's like, and there's this amazing job there. And then I'm like, Kim, you've got a family, like, come get real. Like, just career progressions that, if I was in a different place in life or different circumstances, I absolutely probably would have been able to progress and do. So I found, having to juggle all the balls as women, as we do sometimes with our family commitments and our outside activities, that's probably what has probably caused my career progression along the way. And I've had to take it slower and wait till children get older and things like that. And I guess that's been the biggest barrier, not so much being afraid to try and put my hat in the ring. It's just being more realistic about where I am and what I can commit to the career at the time. Yeah.
Thanks, Kim. There's another question here. You all seem very positive, which is great. But Kate was wondering, what is your mindset when you get criticism? Anyone like to answer that?
I'll just say caffeine helps. In all honesty, we all get feedback that we don't necessarily enjoy, but I think it's a case of being mature enough. And probably years ago, speaking for myself, I probably had feedback that I didn't really like, probably didn't handle it very well. I think I'm a grown up now, so I can deal with it, because generally it's given in a constructive way, and it's meant to, improve your skill set, improve your mindset, and all of the rest of it. So I'm more open to it now, and I invite it. I don't invite criticism, but I invite feedback, and I'm quite open to that because we never stop learning. So I think being positive is, I probably can speak for all of us, we're in jobs or roles that we love and enjoy. And I think that does give you a different mindset. I mean, I don't mind, and I know I shouldn't say this, but when you work long hours and you end up, when I'm traveling and I do some work on the weekend, I don't begrudge it because I actually enjoy it. Now, I know it's not sustainable long term, but it's not like I'm watching all of that like a hawk, because I really enjoy what I'm doing, and it gets me to the results that I want to achieve in the region and things. So it's not hard to be positive, and it is probably being a bit more mature in your mindset on taking feedback, because you need to give it. So you need to be able to take it as well. And it is intended in a constructive way. And that's how I take it now as well.
Thanks, Paula. And there's something put here from Joanna just about the mentorship programs and some suggestions around women to women membership, mentorship, and also potentially creating a women's leadership group or network. So we'll take that on board, Joanna. I think they're interesting proposals. So certainly with Roles and with Lee, we will take that on board and have a look at those as part of further developing our mentorship and leadership development. There's a question here from Monique. That's a very good question. And it says, with such full-on roles, what do you do for you and how do you switch your brain off? I might just answer this. I think it's historically, I've not been great at finding that balance and maybe switching my brain off. And I think obviously technology doesn't help that because you're always contactable and available. So I do think it is about just introducing a bit of discipline actually into when you do work and when you don't, and maybe not feeling guilty that someone has to wait for you to get back to them. And then just engaging the things that you enjoy, whatever that is. And for some people, that'll be energizing themselves with other people and other activities outside of work. For other people, it's actually being able to find space for themselves. I think alone time that you don't get a lot of. So I think it's around discipline because it actually does take some discipline to do that better. Anyone else want to have a go at that question around what do you do for yourself and how do you switch your brain off? Kim, did you want to give that a go?
Yeah, I think I have a great network of friends that don't work in this field of work. So, if you go out for a girls' lunch or something like that, we're not just focused on the things that I'm doing in my job and things like that. They talk about their work and other things that they do. So I think that's really helpful. I think having an 8-year-old keeps you pretty grounded and in reality, because I'm hanging out with my granddaughter quite often. She doesn't give you time to think about anyone but her. So that also helps. And I just think, look, I'm not going to lie either. I'm a bit guilty of occasionally looking at the phone on the weekend or something and reading something that's work related. But again, I'm a lot like what Paula was saying, because I feel like for me, what I do is me as a person as well. So I think my personal values very much aligned to our Vinnie's values. So if there's something happening in the local Tweed Heads community, and it often relates to homelessness or housing issues and things like that, it's something that I have a keen interest in anyway, and it's part of me. So I don't feel like it's work all the time. But then having said that, I did notice the comment about being positive all the time. And again, being real, because we're all human. Believe me, I have bad days where I go, is this really what I want to do? Try and get all the homeless housed? What are you doing to yourself, Kim? And it's usually when I come up against something that's I don't have the power to have any influence or change on, why isn't this being funded? And this is ridiculous. And I get on my high horse about that kind of stuff. And and I think to myself, so no, I'm absolutely somebody that is, I try to always be positive, but I'm also somebody that, will have a bad day and go, wow, how do we solve these things? And have I got any checks? Am I making a dent in this homeless community? You ask yourself those questions. And with criticism, again, I don't mind criticism because I'm always happy to admit if I've got something wrong. And I'm always happy to say to somebody, I got it wrong. And I'm also willing to take on board other people's opinions because, a person might have a really brilliant idea that I haven't thought of, or how we can come up with some solutions for the area that I work in. And so I think, it needs to be seen as a positive as well. Even a criticism can be positive. So I think, that's basically where I'm at.
And we've got one number very quickly, just in the shortest way you can answer this one. What is the top tip you would give the next generation of female leaders, Paula?
I would say be your authentic self. But one thing that I know I've made mistakes in over the years, and I'm now very conscious of it and very aware, is make connections. Connect with people that align with your values, that align with, say, the organization's values. But just connect with people. And I know sometimes it can be exhausting when you're talking to people all day, every day. And it's nice to have some downtime after that, but it is important. You learn a lot from other people, whether you intended to learn from them or not, you actually do. And it is good for your own development, I think, to have a broad range of friends and different people within work that give you different perspectives, and you'll learn so much from that. So just be your authentic self and collaborate and connect with other people.
Thanks, Paula. Christine?
Yeah, mine's definitely around connection as well. I think, find your people inside Vinnie's, find your people outside of Vinnie's, people who have those similar values and who also want to grow. I think you can only grow as much as the people around you. So sometimes you can be stunted by people who may not necessarily have that same desire. So if there's people around you that want to just see themselves constantly grow day by day and, always better themselves, then you're going to be more inclined to do that yourself. And those people will be the ones that will be there in those moments of imposter syndrome or in those moments where you need advice, because oftentimes if you're surrounding yourself with people who have similar values and are going through similar experiences, they're the ones that are going to be able to say, hey, this is what I did in that moment. Have you considered doing this? Or, just a bit of a shake up to let you know that it's not always the end of the world and that things will get better. Bad days don't necessarily mean bad jobs or bad lives. They're just a fleeting moment.
Thanks, Christina. And Kim, quickly, your top tip for the next generation of female leaders?
I tend to agree with Paula. Be your authentic self, be proud of who you are and what you can bring to the table. Because I think often as women, sometimes we think, that what we're offering doesn't meet the standard or some reason is going to be shut down. So I think believe in yourself, be proud, and and if it's something you really are passionate about and want to do, then don't let anything hold you back. Give it a go.
And my advice to the next generation of female leaders is it actually is hard to have it all. So be kind to yourself, and you're doing well enough in all the different things you're doing, with whether it be your personal life, work life, and everything else you're balancing. So it is actually hard to have it all. It's not easy. So just be kind to yourself. And so that's the end of our session. Thank you to all of the panelists, to Paula, to Christina, to Kim. Thank you for sharing so many insights as to your journey and your learnings. And thank you, everyone, for joining us online, and we'll let you get back to your day. And every day is International Women's Day. Don't forget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank
you, everyone.